Welcome, everyone. My name is Nancy Moore. I'm the Director of Programs with Africa Fire Mission, and we are just very excited to have you join us today. I am afraid I caused some concern with our instructor this morning, and so he's a bit delayed in joining us, but I'm sure he's on his way. And Athman Bacha will be helping us talk about emergency vehicle operations today. So very excited to have him with us shortly. And in the meantime, I wanted to wish you all a belated International Firefighters Day. It was a really neat for me to see pictures from around the world of firefighters, and really cool, especially in some of the pages and WhatsApps that I follow with Kenya, to see you guys coming together as a firefighter community to really celebrate the work that you do as firefighters around the world. Africa Fire Mission was privileged to have an interview yesterday. Our Chief Fire Officer, our Chairman of our board, Chief Fire Officer Benjamin Barksdale, was interviewed for with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. They wanted to honor firefighters around the world and shared about the work that Africa Fire Mission is doing with an interview. So really neat opportunity to share about the growth of the fire service in Kenya and Zambia and all the places where we're working, and the partnerships that are a part of that work. So happy International Firefighters Day, belatedly, everyone. Wanted to just remind you, today's training is being recorded. We'll keep you all on mute unless you have something to join in to say during the training. I'll invite you to introduce yourselves in the chat as always. And we will always have the training content whenever possible posted on our website for you about 24 hours after the training. And participants will get an email with a link for that as well. So thanks everybody for being here. I'm going to have Jose get us started with some words of encouragement, and then we'll start some discussion while we wait for our instructor to arrive. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Truly appreciate. And happy Firefighters Day to each and every one of you. We appreciate you even at Africa Fire Mission and also the work that you do. So today's encouragement is about goodness. Yeah. And I'm going to read. It says, conquer evil by doing good, from the book of Romans chapter 12, verse 21. It's easy to forget why God saved you, what he's called you to do, and how you're supposed to live. So here's a memo from heaven. Don't just pretend that you love others. Really love them. Hate what is wrong. Stand on the side of good. Love each other with brotherly affection and take delight in honoring each other. Never be lazy in your work, but serve the Lord enthusiastically. Be glad for all God is planning for you. Be patient in trouble and prayerful always. When God's children are in need, you be the one to help them out. If someone mistreats you, pray that God will bless him. When others are happy, be happy with them. If they are sad, share their sorrow. Work happily together. Don't try to act big. Don't try to get into the good graces of important people, but enjoy the company of ordinary folks. And don't think you know it all. Never pay back evil for evil. Do things in such a way that everyone will see you are honest, clear through. Don't quarrel with anyone. Be at peace with everyone, just as much as possible. Never average with yourselves. Leave that to God, for he has said that he will repay those who deserve it. Instead, feed your enemy if he's hungry. If he's thirsty, give him something to drink and you will be helping, and you will be heaping coals of fire on his head. In other words, he will feel ashamed of himself for what he has done to you. Don't let evil get the upper hand, but conquer evil by doing good. That is in verse, in the same verse, chapter 12, 9 to 21. So, dear firefighters and EMS providers, that's a word for today, just for us to have goodness in our hearts going forward. Let's pray even before we start. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful time. We ask you that you go before us even as we learn about emergency vehicles. We ask of you that you give us a good internet connection, and also you remind the other colleagues to join in for us to be able to have a good lesson. I pray this all trusting and believing in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. So I'm not so sure if let me see if our trainer is here for today. I'm not seeing him.
Yeah.
He's not here yet. So
yeah, so our topic today that we're going to be focusing on is emergency vehicle operations. And I wondered if we could start with a discussion about where we name some of the concerns that you have about vehicle operations. What are some concerns you have around safety and vehicle operation? Emergency vehicle operations.
it's an open-ended question, guys. You could just pass through your questions or comments. Go ahead, the floor is open.
Use the chat to respond as well. What concerns do you have? What do you notice about vehicle operations in your place that concerns you? I'm going to invite you to just keep that question in mind as we go through today. We have Chief Bacha with us now. And sir, we are ready to get started.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
How are
Good
you?
evening, sir.
Doing well, thank you. So glad you're here. Thanks for presenting today. Great.
All right. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Our today course is about emergency vehicle operation course, which I hope majority of us as our professional in this field of fire and ambulances drivers, and I hope all the fire stations or all the other county and another national, international, we have ambulances which we also operate to combat those kinds of disasters which we are facing in our country. I hope we have a lot of drivers, and this is the course is actually focus majority on drivers. Even us, the officers, okay, it's good that we have this knowledge. And EVOC is a very big topic, the big cause, which has a lot of things. So I've tried for today to minimize what we can allow us to capture, which also can assist us or in our fire stations. So I'm coming up. Then I also I'll just go through the attitudes and behaviors of operators And also I will talk about well-being of the the operators in fire engines, and also in lifting and moving, and also the duties and responsibilities of an operators. And also I'll try to capture a little bit on traffic rules and regulation, which will capture the traffic acts and highway code, and also the county policy or regulations. So if time allows, well and good. If not, then I think so I'll get another chance to another class so that we can finish this course. All right, do we go to the next slide, please? Now that is training objectives. The training objectives is emergency vehicle operation course. We all know that ambulance operators are dedicated professionals who wants to know the best way to do their jobs. That's why you are here for training. So that when you apply for this, actually this work, to be a driver or an ambulance operator or a fire operator, you decide that you will work on that. So the course goal, which provide ambulance operator within the knowledge and skill to operate the vehicle so that the vehicle's equipment, crew, and patients will be delivered safely and efficiently, and the safety of the public will be assured during all phase of the delivery of emergency medical service, EMS, involving the ambulances. So that is the first goal. The next. Next slide, please. In this course, we will learn about, one, the legal aspects of ambulances operation. We must know the legal aspects of our ambulance operation, including appropriate vehicle procedures, due regards, true emergencies, negligence, abandonment, good Samaritans provision, and patients' rights. So we have to do or to learn all these legal issues so that we do our job in very good manner. Second, please, next slide. Number two, communication responsibility for receiving and sending radio messages and for the interpreting hand signals. Communication, it has to come up from the control room. So the operator will receive the communication from the control room. So you have to listen carefully what instruction you are going to be given by the controller. Or if you are receiving that sending radio messages, you have to listen carefully so that you do the right things as per the report which you're receiving from the control room. 3, ambulances types of and operation, including general guidelines about weight, restriction, and operation for each type. You know, we have several types of ambulances in matter of body, in matter of the equipment. So you have to know which kind of emergency are you responding. So the operator, the controller will receive that message, the call, then he will know which kind of ambulances he will dispatch to the scene. Number 4, ambulances readiness, including inspection, maintenance, and repair. Make sure if that ambulance or the fire engine, the driver, that is his office or her office. So he has to take care and look each and everything which are intact, ready to go. Not when you are receiving a call, you just respond to somewhere, then you are trying to look, oh, my tire are down, or the battery is not working. This is not allowed. So the operator of that ambulance or fire engine must be readiness, including inspection, maintenance, and repair. Go again. Navigation and route planning, selecting the safety route. The operator must know the routes of his county or the country. For example, if you are from the country, you have to know all the routes, which is the safest route. Maybe if I'm taking this route, maybe the Mombasa Highway, for example, Nairobi, you are calling, you're receiving a letter in the Mombasa Highway, there's an emergency. You know the Mombasa Highway is having a lot of traffic. So which route you can use so that you can reach maybe near that airport. So you have to know all those routes, so that, and it's also, you have to know those routes and the safeness of that route. Number 6, a normal and high risk driving situation, routine traffic to hazardous weather and traffic condition. You have to know the high risk. The driver should know the traffic the hazards, weathers and traffic conditions. When you just use that route, is it safe for you? The safe for the vehicles, the safe for the patients. So you have to understand all those, the routes and the traffic conditions. Then another thing is about safety consideration for ensuring safety of passengers, patient and their family, and ambulance and the crew. So don't decide that you are in that, you are an operator, you are the master, or you are everything in that vehicle. So you drive like a crazy man. You forget that you have carried the passenger. Maybe you have carried the family of that passenger. Maybe you also have your crew. So you drive carelessness. This is, you have to understand that the safety is belonging from you to the vehicles and the patients, maybe even the crew. Thank you. So here I'm now getting into the attitudes and behavior. As you see those pictures, the attitudes, you see the road condition, which I've tried to mention. If that is the road, and then we have such like a river which breaks the banks, and then you want to cross. You see the first car is already swollen by the water. Then the another car, which now is saying, I'm master. No one like me. I will pass that route. No way, man. You have to take the safety. Second, please. Go ahead. Next slide.
Do you want the second water slide or the next road one?
Yes, I need another. Just go ahead.
There, I'm not sure if it's advancing on your side. Oh. Can you see the slides? Not just, sorry, and you're muted.
All right. As you see in this slide and these pictures, there's a yellow line in between. This shows that we have to know the traffic regulation. If you see the yellow line, that we're not allowed to overtake. And you see this bus which is overtaking, while there's another bus on the other side also overtaking. Now, and this is the highway, the super highway. There's someone which is trying to use the exit, the entry line, he wants to exit. And then there's another car which is having the to want to exit. Now they are facing another accident on it. So you have to know the traffic rules to avoid such kind of minor accidents. Let's go ahead. Now, the size of the road. Everyone want to pass. You see all the vehicles which are all want to, okay, they're in the right way, they want to go to the right way, but the space of the road is not allowing. So you see all the three vehicles are meeting and then they just collided and having that kind of an accident. So you have to look the size of the road. Is it for the two cars to pass or three vehicles to pass or four? You have to look at it and see whether the road is allowed to allow you to move in a good direction. Next slide. That this kind of the traffic, we are the ones who creating this traffic. Yeah, because all of us are in a hurry maybe to go to work or go from work. So we are deciding to create a very huge traffic, and we forget to follow the rules and regulation of the traffic highway code. Next. Go ahead. The other thing is about the overloading. You overload your vehicles. Yeah, it's about the overloading. You see those two vehicles, they are really overloading. And if you overload, sometimes you cannot, it will be difficult for you to control that vehicle. Yeah, it will just start seeing and getting you out of the road, and you get involve you in an accident. So you must know what is capacity to carry the load in your vehicle. Next. And this is, you know, if you're doing the defense driving training, you'll be trained on this. So I'm just trying to capture or highlight this kind of misuse of the roads. So when you are taking to driving defense, you'll just have this training or this type of course, and you'll be well being trained in defensive driving. So all these things is overloading. You see a very small car, but it's really overloaded, and this is not allowed. And this, yeah, go ahead. Now you see this yellow line. People are trying to overtake while they don't see ahead. There's another car which is coming down. So we are in a hurry to overtake, but we're forgetting the rules and regulation of the traffic and the highway code. See, there's that yellow line. You're not allowed to overtake, but we use that we are in a speed. We are in a hurry. You want to overtake. And then finally, we end up being involved in the crash. Next slide. Now, this is the end results. You're overtaking, then there's another big vehicle is coming, so you don't have any place to escape. You now enter to in between the lorry, you'll be sandwiched. Finally, there is your end of your journey. But if you're driving carefully and follow the rules and regulation of the traffic, you could reach home safe. So now we are now waiting for another ambulances or the fire people to come and do rescue. Next slide.
There's a couple questions in the chat.
Yes.
The first is, and Luftan, if you'd like to just unmute and ask, you're welcome to. The first question is, what are the factors to consider when you've activated to an emergency? And then secondly, I believe emergency vehicles are allowed to brake the traffic. Is this true?
Yes, I will respond. There's another slide, I will reach there. He will get all the answers.
Perfect.
Yeah, I will reach. There is All right, and you see the overtaking, and then there's another car which is coming, and there's this yellow line. Yellow line says that you are not allowed to overtake, right? The same, you can continue. Now, the end, now you see, we try to overtaking, we try to go over speed, and then that was the end of the your trip. Go ahead. Another is altitude and behavior, driver's condition. You are unable to judge properly due to if you are drinking or use alcohol, if you are drugs, fatigue, illness, stress, please don't drive. Just tell your duty officer to give you a 1 day off, or don't come to work, take any excuse that, because if you do that, you will save the crew and the other patient. But if you decide to come to work and drive while you have those attitudes, my friend, will end up being involved in the accidents. You see the drunker just relaxing the border. Another thing is that the crossing, we have the a crossover ahead, but we're deciding to use the road to cross, and we forget there's a lot of vehicles which are coming. So these things is just us, we need to be taking care. We have to follow. We have a flying over, just use the flying over to cross to other side. Why are you using the roads? Yep, next. Well-being of the EMS responder. And in this, first we have to define being a defensive driving. Yep, is a series of interlocking driving techniques aimed at ensuring safe driving, avoiding crashes, and at all times, in spite of the environment and condition, conserving lives, limbs, organs, saving time and money, and act reasonable around the condition and action of others. As you have seen those slides of pictures, which indicating that if we are misusing the roads, we are misusing the traffic acts and traffic regulations, we will end up losing also life. So for being a good driver, you have to do ensuring safe driving, avoiding crashes, and all times in spite of the environment and condition, conserving lives, limbs, organs, and saving time. Next. So, things which make a defensive driving, we must have like this triangle. We have to have a driver, we have a vehicle, and then an environmental and condition. This is concerning about the roads. So if we capture these three items, then now you are very good in defensive driving. So you control it by deciding when and where, how to drive as a driver. Driver, you are responsible for controlling yourself first as a driver. You are responsible for controlling yourself. If you're drunk or you're using drugs, which is now, you are not allowed to drive. So for the vehicle, you control it by deciding where, when, and how to drive it. So this vehicle, you as a driver, you are the one to control it. For the environmental and condition, you cannot control light, weather, traffic, and other drivers. So you have to take care. Those you cannot control. You have to take care of yourself so that you end up driving safe. Next slide. So in this slide, I have divided it into 3 categories as per my rectangle there for the drivers. Safety first, then alertness and concentration, soberness, positive altitudes, avoiding distractions, fatigue management, stress management, navigation and planning, road security management, training and development, health and fitness to drive, legal compliances. These are the items which a driver must obtain or follow or obey as his or herself, so that if we just follow these items here, he will be a very good driver. Then about the vehicle. The vehicle, as a driver, you must do inspection and check pre-trip, en route, post-trip. Make sure this, you check, that is your office. You have to make sure your office is always clean, ready to respond. Service and maintenance. Thus, we have pre-delivery services. We have fast services, we have minor service, we have medium service. We have minor services, major services. Then we have vehicle models and make, vehicle technology, legal compliances. So as a vehicle, this is item you have to check, either they are okay, ready to work. You have no problem for the maintenance. All right. Then for the environmental and condition, you have to know the weather condition, visible condition, road condition, traffic condition, superhighway and similar roads, line discipline. Then you have road signs. You have to know the road signs. It's not your driver just getting into the car and kick and go. You have to learn the road signs. There's another place we put black spots, which are always having an hazards areas. That's a black spot. So we have to know that areas, legal compliances and its of effects. So if you combine this triangle, then you'll be well and very well driver. So you have the driving techniques. Next slides. Or maybe let me now starting responding to those questions before.
Yeah.
Or let's go to the duties and responsibilities. Then they will some others will just come from there. Go ahead.
There were a couple questions. Yeah, the Galaxy.
Yeah.
If you have a question, you can go ahead. No? Okay.
There's the first question, which says, what are the factors to consider when you have activated an emergency? Factors to consider. This, when you're receiving an emergency, depends which kind of emergency you're receiving. Yeah, it goes direct to the controller or the dispatcher. The dispatcher, when you receive that call, he will know what kind of these calls, what kind of the emergency you want to respond. So the factor is the road safety, the safety of your officers. You have to consider those. The engines or the ambulance, is it good to respond in case of that kind of emergency? If they're all okay, then you can respond to that emergencies. Then say, I believe in emergency vehicle are allowed to break the traffic. Is this true? Yes, it is true. Then we will come up into the issue we call it the due regards law in the traffic law. but not to break. This word break, no. The traffic law is there and it will stand there. You are allowed in space, like a special gift you're given. When you are in the siren, you will give you space. But when you're involved in the traffic, you're involved in an accident, my friend, the traffic rules and regulation, the traffic and the highway code, it will just as normal. You will be charged. If it's a matter of charging, you will be charged. So there's no escape. You are just giving a special consideration. When you are in the siren, you will be just given a space to move. But someone, you don't expect everyone will hear your siren. Maybe someone has his own frustration. He will not even hear your siren. He will just follow the same route. He will not give you way. Will you just go and kick him or crash him? No way. You'll be charged if he's in the right track as per the traffic law. Pump operators from Kenyatta. Okay, there's another question. Other than road measures, what precaution do emergency operators need to take while on scene? Also, sometimes we have a jurisdiction scene. What laws should we observe from the point of view? As I've said, all emergencies, being a police, being a fire, being an ambulance, we are given a special consideration. You can park in the place where there's no parking. You can park in a yellow line. That's you allowed. Yeah, you can do things which you are just maybe given that as a special. But when you are involving only one place, when you are involving in an accident, no matter which engine you are driving, either it's an ambulance, whether it's a fire, or the police, you'll be just taken into law. The law will follow. There's no excuse on that. The first factor is to respond to emergency call anytime. Yes, as you're working 24 hours, you are always on call. You will receive calls and you have to respond as long as you're working in the emergency. Sometimes there's a true call, sometimes there's a false call, false alarm. We call them false alarm. Yep. Sometimes you also, maybe you are on call, and then you have, maybe I have a patient with a heart problem. Will you drive with a siren? It's difficult. You're not allowed to drive while in siren while you're having a patient of a heart. So that it will be giving you, the operator, difficult to penetrate on those traffics. You have to drive slow. Maybe you have another patient of fractures, a spinal. Okay, you drive in a siren, you get a clear way, but you cannot moving in the rough road or taking to the pavement. You're giving the patient a lot of uncomfortability. So you have to use your knowledge. All right, thank you. Then proceed.
I have a question though.
Yes, go ahead.
My question was, there are times that we have interjurisdictional scenes where you find yourself on a different county.
Just add volume, please. I'm not getting you clear.
There are times we are in interjurisdictional scenes where you come from one county. For example, you are from Kiambu County and you're responding to a scene that is in Nairobi County jurisdiction. Yeah. So my question was, what laws should we observe? Because I remember there was something about knowing your jurisdiction, because sometimes it may affect your work as an operator, a firefighter, or EMT, or yeah.
Yes, you know, your question is very good. Now, with your county police or your county bylaws, is it allowed you to go to another jurisdiction area? Like, you know, you say you're from Kiambu and you want to respond to Nairobi. Maybe if you are from Kiambu and the referral hospital is Nairobi, for example, you are taking the patient for referral, you have to get permission from your supervisor, which is from the county. Your county bosses, they have to know and give you permission to get outside your jurisdiction. And wherever you enter to Nairobi, there's another, now we call it county bylaws. You have to follow the county bylaws. Apart from the traffic laws, there's another county bylaws. You have to understand them. So that being outside of your jurisdiction, you have to get permission from your your county, so that he can give you a signal to go and respond that, or to go for that referral outside their county. I hope I answer you correct. Let's go ahead, Nancy. So duties and responsibilities. As an operator, you have to know or to understand that first, to ensure safe, reliable vehicle operation. This is your first. Make sure everything that you are in your office is quietly in good condition. So you also, to reduce the total cost of repairs. Don't drive carelessness, so that you know, this is for the county or this is for an agency, they will repair it. No, make sure you take care. That is like your baby. That is your office. You have to take care of it. And also to minimize major equipment failure. Yeah. You know, you are driving, for example, you're driving an ambulance. You carry the the oxygen. Oxygen is just a bomb. When you drive careless, it will just maybe explode. Then we lose you, we lose the vehicle, we lose the patient. No, we have to take care and everything. Make sure you're using your office with a very good hands. Next slide, please. Continuation of the duties and responsibility. Document any needed maintenance you find. You have to document. Yeah, anything you see you need in maintenance, just write it, send it to your supervisor. Make sure needed maintenance has been completed before you place the vehicle in service. Make sure needed maintenance has been completed, so that you don't be in a hurry to take the car from the garage because you want to be seen or show off that you're driving the ambulances or the fire engine. No, let it be complete, that the service is done correctly. So you also perform any maintenance for which your organization makes you are responsible. Make sure everything's, the engine, the car itself, it's clean, the equipment there is okay, ready to work, so that if you make sure these things are in good order, then you are ready to respond. Next. Ensure inspection checklist and work request and written into a vehicle maintenance logo. And I'm sure a lot of vehicles, especially in our county, either the fire brigade, the ambulances, we don't inspect. We just go and check I've seen there's this rope, there's this stretcher, there's this, you say, okay, everything's okay. The equipment are okay. But have you tested them? Maybe it has rust. So you have to test them. And also have a checklist to make sure that you recorded and check everything. Is it in good place? I'm missing, this is breaking, you have to replace it. You have to make sure it is in the checklist. So list of all maintenance needed and done, including routine maintenance and problem identified by inspection. So when you take your vehicles to the inspection or to the garage, the engineer which will inform you that we need to change this, don't challenge, agree. The brakes are failure, we want to change the brake system. If there's a tie rod end it's breaking, you want to change it, let him, because he is professional in that field. So yours is just to make it into the checklist and send it to your boss. We have to change this, make sure it is change completed. Next. So also continuation, supporting the preventive maintenance program. You have to have a program of preventive maintenance. If you know your car, it has to go 5,000 kilometers. If it reaches 5,000 kilometers, it has to go for service. Make sure you take it to the service. You document that the vehicle has been properly maintained. You have to document it. Yeah? Kuna pre-inspection na post-inspection. You have to get it pre-inspection. Then after that, post-inspection, the things is well done, it's cleared, ready to go. So to determine that the vehicle is in safe operating condition and all maintenance required have been performed, this now it's you are the operator. You have to determine this. If it's safe operating, then you know everything will be safe. You, the vehicle, and the crew ready to go. Continue. Now, your questions which you have asked from now, you have to listen this topic very carefully, and you will understand for all your questions which you've mentioned previously, the traffic rules and regulation. Ambulance operator. The ambulance operation performance objectives to identify types of law that apply to ambulance operation. You have also to know, identify how specific law apply to ambulance operation. Next.
And sorry to interrupt, are the same rules for fire truck operations as for
yes,
ambulance?
that we are in the same law. The difference is just the engine. This is fire engine and this is the ambulance. But the law.
Perfect, just making sense, sure, for my side.
The type of regulation covering emergency vehicle operation and how the regulation guides the decision you make while performing your job. So as an operator, you have to know types of regulation covering emergencies vehicle. Yep. So that if you know these laws and type of regulation, for example, like the number one, constitution law. This constitution law comes from the constitution. The constitution guarantees the right of the individual. The law explains patients' rights before, during, and after transport. The constitution law, this is coming from the parliament. The statutory laws come from the legislative acts. Ordinance law, which is now, this is bylaw, guidance and enacted by the governing municipality body or the county body or its agents. So regulation are guidelines enacted by an agency. For example, now those agencies, they have to have a policy so that it can guideline the operator how to overcome his duties and responsibilities. Next. So understanding the regulation. All organizational policy should incorporate the principle of state laws. All organizational policy should incorporate the principle of state laws. local audience, rules and regulation into guidelines of the ambulance operators. So all organization, this is like whatever, if you're dealing with all emergency, we have private and government. They have to be incorporate with the state laws. That in case of anything, when you go to court, the state law will the ones to guide and rules, whatever the misconduct or any kind of crashes, they will follow the state laws. So as an operator, you have to know the organization policy and the state laws. Next. So keep the following three principles in mind when approaching the idea of exemption. Now here we are coming from those questions. What kind of an exemption are we receiving? Are we allowed, or we allow it by law to driving, whatever? No. Now listen it carefully. Ambulance operator, this is ambulance stroke fire, stroke any kind of emergencies. Operators are subjected to all traffic regulation. We are subjected to all traffic regulation unless a specific exemption is made in the state or local statutes. Now, here now we come. We are allowed to use the siren. When you're using the siren, we are moving in a high speed. We are allowed by other traffic laws, allowing us to drive and park in any other place we want. But you have to understand it carefully. Subjected to all traffic regulation unless specific exemption. So the traffic regulation is there. So please don't misuse them. You say that I'm driving the fire engine or an ambulance, I'm there, no one like me. No way. Exemption are legal only in the emergency mode. So when you want to get that legal, make sure you're driving under the siren. Your siren is on. Yeah, so that you can get that exemption to use the wrong side, use the yellow line, use the pavement. Yeah, you can drive. You're parking from the no parking zone. But until you are in the emergency mode, even with an exemption, operator can be found criminally or civilly liable if involved in crash. Now you see that number 3, even with an exemption, yeah, but the traffic rules and regulation, the traffic code will follow you if you involved in any criminal or civil liable if involved in crash. So we are given exemption, but the law is still there. The law is still with us. Okay, go to the next slide. So some example of exemption to laws include proceeding through red lights, stop signs at a controlled intersection. We are in a highway, there's those traffic lights. Then it shows red. Red means stop. You are in the emergency mode, you allow it to cross while the signs are showing red. But you have to check. There's any car coming from another side. If there's another car coming with another side, even if you are in an emergency mode, you have to stop, because that person who is coming, he is in his right traffic way. So if he allowed you, because you know you are in the emergency mode, he can stop and leave you to go ahead, well and good. But if not allowed you to go, my friend, when you involve into crash at that time, you'll in for it. Number 2, parking in a no parking zone. We are allowed to parking in a no parking zone. We got that exemption. Or violating the traffic flow and turning procedures. There's a traffic flow. Yeah, we are going into this direction of the north. and then we decided to cross in the south, you can continue. But if the other side of the flow, the traffic flow, will allow you to go ahead, well and good. But not, if they're not allowing you to go, don't use your chest or you say that I'm going. Whatever anything happen, the traffic law will follow you. Please go ahead. Now, what is meant by the specific exemption? Here we have to listen that specific exemption which we are receiving from the status, from the state law, from the county bylaws, from any organization, agency's regulation. Now, go ahead. So, a specific exemption is a statement which appears in the statutes and specifies an exemption to the rule, such as the operator of an authorized emergency vehicle may park in a no parking zone, as long as the operator does not endanger life or property. Get it clear. A specific exemption is an exemption to the rule, such as the operator of an authorized emergency. Authorized emergency, which I've said is like fire, ambulance, police. Yes, you allow it to park in a no parking zone. That is an exemption because you are in an emergency mode. As long as the operator not endanger life or property. So if you endanger life or property, you'll be charged. And when you come to the work, that even your organization or your agency will say that is your own mistake. You'll go to court alone. Go ahead. Law of due regards. Law of due regards, all patients and crew members have the right to know that while being entrusted in your care, you are exercising due regard for their safety. If ever a crash should occur while you are operating an ambulance, the court will judge your action according to this principle. So in this law of due regards, you'll be considered whether maybe, okay, a lot of like our brothers from, I think so, if not Muranga or Nakuru, the Muranga ones who are involved in the crash, like with their fire engines. Yeah, but now the law will check. Were you responding in an emergency mode? Then you are involved. What is the cause of that crash? Maybe someone interfere you while you are in the right track on the traffic law. Okay, the law will just listen and will judge whether you are in the right track. Like Nakuru, they were just responding in another fire. Then the community deciding to ban the fire engine. Yeah. So the county government taking those just back to the court, and the insurance will come in and see whether they can refund the new fire engine. Go ahead. Ask yourself this question as an operator. You must be sober and ask yourself this question. Am I responding like other? Will it in the same situation? One, am I responding like others? If you are responding like others, will it in the same situation? Just I'm driving safe and make sure just I'll reach also the place safe. This is what I'm allowed to. Okay. All right, I'm giving enough notice for my vehicle approach to allow other motorists and pedestrians to clear path and protect themselves. Am I using the signal equipment appropriate? Is it necessary to use it? Can a motorist and pedestrian hear and see my signals So when you're driving, you are in the signal. Don't think that everyone is hearing your signal. There are some which they have, as I've said, they are frustrated, they are just tired, they will not listen to your siren. And then you decide, oh, this man is maybe rude, let me just kick him. No, you'll be charged. So drive carefulness. And I'm just been told the time is not with us. So I think so, maybe try to go to another slide, maybe if you have time.
Yeah, let's use this one as a wrap-up question here today, and we'll find another time to continue with the rest.
All right. Maybe now I can get question from the participants if they have any question.
Yes. I'm Samuel from Malindi Fire Station.
Yep.
My question is, you have reported all the defects concerning the fire engine.
Yes.
But the county government has not taken any initiative to repair it.
Yes. Finish your question, please. Okay, okay, what I'm just getting from him, let me try to explain it, what he wants to reach to. He said that he has complaining or mentioned that the fire engine is not in good working order, and sending that information to their immediately supervisor or to their bosses, and then they haven't taken any positive reaction on the same. As long as you have recorded, that will say you have the checklist. You just have to write. There's a logbook. Just make sure you written there everything, all the kind of the damages of the problem of that engine, of that vehicles. And then that it will save you that you have reported. So whether they are not responding to it, you say, Bana, this vehicle is not fit to go for kind of that emergency. You are in safe. In case of any law will want to take against you, you'll produce your evidence that I've reported, and it is in the OB, and my immediately boss, my supervisor, I have informed him, and this is what I can talk about. So you'll be in a safe. You will be in a safer side. But because you can't take your money to go and repair that engine. I hope I answer you clear.
I'm sure we might have a few other questions, but I am going to go ahead and formally wrap us up and transition questions to our tea time. Really grateful, Chief, for your training today. So glad to have you, and appreciate your time and really showing some of the dangers of not following the traffic rules, even as we respond to emergencies. It's so important that emergency responders arrive safely to the emergency and not create a secondary emergency as a part of the driving. So just really appreciate that focus today. And we'll find some time to continue this conversation, because emergency vehicle operations, even if you are not the driver, it is important for you to understand the safety aspects of the vehicle and the importance of proper maintenance and all those things. So thank you everyone for your attendance today. We will post the training on our website, africafiremission.org/training, and also on our YouTube channel for future viewing. If you missed any of the training or want to review the training, maybe at your fire station as a review of some of the information we discussed today. Next week, we'll be talking about ladders and use of ladders with a new trainer with AFM, and his name is Nick Higgins. He'll be joining us, firefighter from here in the United States. So we're looking forward to that training next week. And so we will see you all then. Have a great week, and you're welcome to stay for tea and continue to ask questions here.